No, you can't do it.
Great to have you back, and we're excited. We've got actually another question. David from Gowanda, New York, wherever in the world Gowanda is.
I know right where it is.
Well, that would scare
that's
me.
okay.
But anyway, he wants to know, can you cover door panels with PVC like you can with the thermoformer? And we saw wood veneers, and we can see how that can work for a cabinet guy doing his panels. But what about
No, because
PVC?
they need heat. They need heat, and this is not a heat process.
Okay.
So that would be one limitation to it then.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
It's
good.
not designed for.
All right.
for
Sorry,
that heat
David.
Application. Okay, let's just finish up on the vacuum pressing for a minute here. And I just wanted to explain that when you're doing a curved piece, you need to make a form, and the form has to be strong enough. Otherwise, with 1,800 pounds per square foot, it's going to get crushed. Okay?
Right.
So there's a couple of rules of thumb, all right? If the
Rule of thumb. We've talked about that. You know where rule of thumb came from?
No.
Ken can tell you real quick.
The rule of thumb actually comes from ancient or very old England in medieval times. There was a law passed that said if you beat your wife, you could beat her with a rod no greater than the diameter of your thumb, hence the rule of thumb.
Well, that's worth knowing. I'm going to apply that when I get back to the office. I can beat my wife
Personally, I don't believe in that myself, but
Okay. If the skin on top is going to be 3/8 thick,
Okay.
you need a rib every 3 inches, and the rib should be 3/4 inch thick.
Wow.
Okay?
so 3/4 inch ply, and you're basically going to put your skin over that.
Right, and you want to end brace these end ones because you get a lot of force pushing in here. So
Okay.
you'll have a rib here, 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 but you also have end braces on each end.
You just don't think about it having that much
Now,
force.
If you go to a 3/4 inch thick skin on the top, okay, you can go to every 6 inches.
Okay.
Because if you don't have that number of ribs, okay, you'll get dimpling.
Oh, okay.
Now, what if you made a form that was supported by, let's say, an expanded foam?
As long as it holds up.
Okay.
You know, what I recommend, we had a guy, he bought a system because he was re-veneering a jute box, all
Okay.
right, and put the whole thing in the bag. And rather than brace the whole thing, what we told him is stuff it with bubble pack, because bubble pack has a couple of pounds of pressure in it,
Okay.
all right, which is more than enough to counteract what vacuum is doing.
Wow.
So it's very easy now to take an odd-shaped piece,
Right.
all right, and reinforce it with bubble pack, and it's reusable,
All right.
okay, and you can stuff it into corners and all that other stuff.
Okay. Very good.
So it's good to have it available. So bubble pack can be used.
All right.
Okay,
So great on the forms. So that works with this one here.
that can go away.
And this was just a few layers of plywood, and you made a curved door.
This was made, right, a curved door with the book match veneer on top, right? You need a caul on the top,
Okay.
all right, but it has to be something that's going to bend with this also.
Okay.
All right. We happen to use a piece of, I think it was 1/8 inch plastic,
Okay.
very smooth. Some
Right.
people use masonite.
Oh, okay.
As a
Now,
caul,
what about
for curved
if
caul.
you use like 1/8 inch door skin, like Luan?
Well, you want has a pattern to it. It's got a grain. You want
yeah.
something smooth.
You want
Okay.
something
You
smooth.
got to listen, Ken. You said it's got to be smooth.
And you want to also be aware that your glue squeeze out doesn't stick to whatever you're putting in there.
Now, what if you use the Luan but put a sheet of plastic between the two?
Well, you could do that.
And what if you put two pieces of plastic?
But when
Okay, come on. On to the
Make
next
sure it
thing.
doesn't have a knot in it. You know?
Right. Okay.
Oh, there's a knot, all right.
All right. Now, this product is very similar to one that we showed you a few weeks ago by the company in Australia, and we sell quite a few of those. This is one that you can actually make yourself, or these are available through
Right.
as well.
Right.
But the idea is that you can make these yourself fairly easily.
And typically when you make a vacuum jig, you want to make it out of a plastic or a solid surface
Something
or whatever.
non-porous.
If you make it out of wood, it's going to leak, so you're not going to get as much holding force.
Okay.
And it's also not going to be dimensionally stable with time.
Okay.
Okay. So the plastic, overcomes those two things. Of course, it's more expensive, but if you're going to use something all the time, it's worth having it.
Right.
So it's going to work well. So we have a basic, what I call a base plate. This has gasket material on the top. It has gasket material on the bottom. It has a hole that drills straight through, and my vacuum line comes in and intersects that hole also.
Okay.
So now I get vacuum top and bottom, and I can suck it to my table. I can put a workpiece like a cabinet door on top.
You notice,
suck it
Ken,
down.
how much he's talking to me and not to you?
But I'm used
You
to
know,
that.
he's just working right with me here, you know?
I'm trying to ignore both of them, but it's not working.
You got to talk to one of us, right?
Okay. Now that's held down. It's not getting pulled back in because we got a little leak somewhere. But the point is,
Okay.
it's held down enough. If this was a regular door and I wanted to round over the edges, I'm off the table. I could go all the way around in one pass.
Sure.
It's not going to slide on me. It's very quick. If I want to sand it, do whatever.
Okay.
I can also take and come off with another vacuum line, all right, and use vacuum straight edge. The advantage of a vacuum straight edge is that when you set it down, all right, and you pull vacuum, it's right there. It doesn't move.
Right.
You know, when you put a clamp on it, it doesn't have to be at the end. Like it doesn't have to be at the end like this to get a mechanical clamp on. I could set it in here,
Okay.
and I could get vacuum, and it would hold.
All right.
And by putting a gate in here, I could get vacuum from there to there, or I can use it on a shorter piece. So if I
Okay.
wanted to clip the corner, I could set it down.
You're just stopping
set it
the air,
down.
combining the airflow
Right.
to this area here.
That's right. I'm
Okay.
defining my vacuum area with the gate. All
All
right.
right.
And I've done the same on this one. If I wanted to hold a small piece, I would just close that gate.
Oh, okay.
All right. And now I can hold a small. So one
good.
vacuum device you can use, you know, for many different sizes.
Okay.
The other thing, this is a right angle clamp. Now this can be used to assemble pieces at a right angle, or you can use it as a vise in the shop. And the advantage of a vise is that you can put it anywhere, and it's not going to dent your material.
Oh, that would come in handy.
See, that's stuck to the table. Now I've got my piece. I can set it anywhere I want. I can play with it and do whatever.
Ed was explaining earlier, too, for cabinet assembly. These are wonderful because you can put two of them in a box and hold both sides, get your stile and rail on if you're going to do that type of construction, and staple the sides together, and it all holds it together.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, great.
I just want to point out this is the all-in-one unit where we have an additional piece in the back here. This is a valve so that when
I noticed that. That comes right off.
when I have that sucked down, and now when I want to release it, I've opened that valve so it immediately lets air back into the system.
Okay.
When the valve is closed and I'm using it with the bag, there's a check valve in there so air won't go back into the bag, which
Okay.
is what you don't want.
All right, great.
Now,
What's this unit here?
we have one more to show you, and this is a vacuum jig. If you want to trim up veneer, and the inside is lined with the gasket material, okay, and we close it down. I've just got a commercial straight edge here.
Let's go ahead and...
I've got 3 pieces of veneer here, and I know some people have made these as long as 8 feet long.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When you
So
the
this
bigger
is
the
just
unit,
something
you got to have
simple
a
you'd
bigger
make
pump.
yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You
Right.
get that, Ken? Bigger the unit, bigger the pump.
You got to have the capacity because it's leaking right here where we have the thickness of the veneer. Now this has got
Okay.
3 pieces
Okay.
in there, and
this
sometimes
on?
you got to press on it. Step on the pedal, top. Oh, that's okay.
There it is, got it?
There it is.
Got
right
it?
There. We're getting 15 inches of mercury. So now,
Okay. So now we can go ahead and run a router right along that. Let's go ahead and do that real quick.
you plug
All
in.
plugged in.
We've got
ready to
just
go?
enough time to do this and then...
Try to show the dog.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good thing you stayed in the vacuum industry.
Yeah, actually that router should be going that way.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Okay, so
Okay.
now we turn this off.
Bottom.
On the bottom, okay. Except for the little divot we put in there, we're okay.
Didn't hold
Now,
it
see,
on.
I would have thought that this Yeah, I thought you were riding along this, not actually the edge of the
Well,
wood.
what he
I
did
am.
is
I am.
he
But-
rode
but-
out like
Oh,
this,
okay.
and then
All
he
right.
kicked in
Yeah.
like
Okay,
that. So.
there you go, live show. That's what happens.
Yeah. But you get a nice clean edge if you take your time and do it right. The point is, you can hold it very tight and right in place, and then you can trim it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's,
Now the highlight of the show.
all right, we've got our vacuum bag here. You want to put that
Put it
right?
on the edge there because you got overhang.
Okay. Oh yeah, we got a nozzle coming out the side. All right, so our little guy is going to help demonstrate how vacuum works.
Correct.
Because again, Ken wanted to use a live animal, but we said no, Ken, you can't use a live animal on the show.
So we did the next
So,
best thing. We got one of
that's right.
Chris's toys.
That's right.
Why does Chris go down the road with little stuffed animals? I don't understand.
Okay, so now we're going to put him in there, and we're going to drop this down.
Latch it.
Okay. Now we just want, he wants to be able to breathe in there still. Okay, now watch this. This is so cool.
We're going to
Now this is just definitely roadkill.
we started out with a dog and we ended up with Chihuahua.
Look at this.
And we squeezed the goon out of him.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
But I mean, all kidding aside,
I'll
you see
bet
the bags followed the shape.
I'll bet you could make stuffed animals that look like that and we could sell them. Wow, it really sucks. I mean, it really sucks.
Which in this case is good.
That's right. That's really cool. Now, just to show you that no stuffed animals have been harmed during
In the
this
making
show,
of this segment.
and please, folks, don't try this at home with a live animal because you will squish all the guts out of it. But as you can see, our stuffed animal is still alive, still doing fine, all fluffed out just fine.
There you go, Chris. Here.
Now, this would be great.
Chris is crying, so there's your animal back.
This would be great to make a doghouse out of. And at night, you could just flip the switch and just...
Rover would go to sleep.
All right, very cool. Very cool.
Oh, God.
Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left. You want to recap on anything in particular?
One thing you didn't talk about that I was hoping you'd get to was this.
Okay. This is, again, another piece of molding, all right? But this has a flute in it, or a channel, right, where the bag won't go in and won't press it. So if you want to add a veneer to it, you need to have the mating form to it. And when it goes right on top like that, it's the same process as the other one. You elevate it, okay? It'll press it in. It brings the veneer right around.
Again,
right
Ken, he's talking directly to me.
But that's okay. I'm used to that. I don't exist. I'm a vapor.
Let me ask you something. On this one, how did you get something that matched that exactly?
You buy it.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
So generally where you buy your moldings, you can either get a male or female molding.
Well, this, I think, came off of, where's that? You can buy handrail material and molding.
Oh,
where
okay.
They
All
supply
right.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
This is a piece of handrail that was made in the press?
This was made in the press. There's, I think, 22 laminations
Wow.
there.
Okay.
Now, do they do that all at one time?
I'm not sure whether they did it all at once or they did it in 2 passes.
But you could do it at one time?
Well, the problem is it depends how much you're bending, because you don't have a lot of surface area for vacuum to apply, because it's only 3 inches high. It's not like a curved staircase, which is a foot thick, where
Right.
you get a ton of pressure for every linear foot that you're moving along.
Okay. All right.
But the thing to note is that between the laminates, there's no voids in your glue line.
Right.
That's one of the big things that the bag does for you, is that even and uniform pressure.
And that's critical because you're going to want to finish this whole thing
Oh, yeah.
through.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that we didn't cover is that little unit right there.
Oh, the hand
And
veneer taper.
I'm not even sure what that is. How does that work?
This is a hand veneer taper. It has a sponge in here which you wet. Okay.
Okay.
And
So this is kind of like a tape, like that paper tape?
it's a
like
paper.
on
It's a
packaging?
paper tape, veneer tape, which
Okay.
is very thin. And if we had 2 pieces
Here,
of
why
paper,
don't we just put these two
yeah,
together that
okay.
we've made, even though it's got a little bump in it?
well, we don't have any water, but one of the advantages of
This is maybe once before you made a cut, you'd actually put the pieces together like that. Is that the idea?
Right. you would hold it down like this. Now, if you let go, if you see how when
Oh,
when
these are tipped, so it pulls it
they're at
together.
an angle, and see how the veneer comes together.
Okay.
All right.
All right. If you can
So you
see
hold
that,
it down, and then
this
you
is
run
actually
it down.
holding it together, pulling the two
Pulling
pieces
it
together
together.
while it puts the tape down.
I'll spread it apart a little more.
Okay.
See how it brings it right together?
Yep.
Okay.
And this is called a veneer taper.
It's a veneer taper. It's very fast. If you're doing a lot of it, it's worth it. Okay. It takes a little getting used to, but if you're doing it, you'll tape your stuff maybe 2 or 3 times.
And this is
faster.
just taped on the back side.
It's taped on the top side
On the
because
top
you
side.
take the tape
Oh, because you
off.
take the tape
So
off
when you did the
afterwards.
cylinder,
Okay.
like we were talking about, you'd make your knife cut, get the glue under there, run the tape over it, let it set up, and
You
peel
wouldn't
the
need
tape
the
off.
you wouldn't need the tape.
Okay.
You wouldn't need the tape at that point
it would be
that
a
would
perfect
it
fit.
would just come together. Right.
Wow.
I think we're about ready to close. Our coupon code for tonight is 021207. I knew that.
0212?
I knew that. Yeah, 0212, right?
0212. Isn't that Melrose
021207.
Place?
Okay, so that's 10% off any of the systems here. And we can do that because Ed's going to give us 30% off additional.
That's great. And we're running this deal for the next month.
No, seriously, folks, no. 10% off.
when you buy 100,000 at a
There you
time.
go.
There you
Okay, great. No, seriously, 10% off on any of the items we've shown at the show tonight. And we want to thank Ed for coming down.
My
You know,
pleasure.
unfortunately, Ed came down thinking he was going to get a nice vacation in Florida, getting away from the nasty weather in Boston. And it's what, 50 here?
Well, having lived in Boston, this is a treat right now because when it's this warm during the wintertime, we just wear shirts around. So
Okay, great. Anything else to cover tonight?
Well done.
I think
that's about
this
it.
show pretty well,
Pretty well sucked.
and it's done.
That's right, absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
remind
and
you in
we'll
2
see
weeks.
you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and
All
it'll
right.
be the Shoal 7.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Dun, dun.